Okay. Welcome to DSS Asia 2024. This is our first session in the customer and partner track. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of our participants around the world. Thank you for joining us today as we dwell deeper into OCBC's journey in building a modern data foundation. I'm pleased to welcome Wei Meng, who is the head of data architecture at OCBC. Wei Meng, maybe can you provide a brief introduction about yourself and explain what exactly your team does at OCBC?
Hi, my name is Wei Ming. My team looks after the data architecture within the bank itself. That is everything from the big data platform to the warehouse to the enterprise data science platform, where all the machine learning and AI models are running for the bank itself. It's a very short version of what we do, but essentially we are part of that value chain within the bank itself that drives data decisioning through the bank.
Maybe to start off, given your team is responsible for with something like maybe you providing some insights into how your existing data landscape is at OCBC.
I think let's take a step back and we start off with the bank's ambition. The bank's ambition is to be Asia's leading financial services partner for a sustainable future. Our brand promise is for now and beyond. This means that we should be reliable, smart, knowledgeable, and take a long-term view of the things that we do for our customers as well as our employees. Now, this brand promise cuts across everything that we do, our products, our processes, our channels, our capabilities, our customer services, as well as our interactions. So the bank, in case you weren't aware, we tend to view ourselves as a financial services partner. Why? Because we have other entities that service different financial services, as well as we operate within the ASEAN and Greater China region. Now, how this translates into technology is how we deliver resilient and scalable services to our customers. This means that it has always got to be available when our customers need to access our services on demand, wherever they are. And the bank has always been on lookout for innovative technology and solutions to achieve this. So we work with our industry partners like Yogabyte to discuss our use cases, our requirements, and collaboratively evolve our technology landscape.
Understood. Thanks, Vivek. Given you earlier talked about being able to deliver resilient and scalable services to your customers, that's very interesting. So maybe on that note, what are the key factors or challenges that actually prompted OCBC to consider adopting Yokobyte more for the data management needs?
I think first of all, I would like to also take this opportunity to say that the Yogabyte team has supported us very well throughout our journey into a distributed database. I think over the last 3 to 4 years, when the first conversation was initiated to the point or from POC to deployment itself, they were very willing to take in feedback in terms of some of the things that, as a regulated industry, we required, and develop the features with the bank itself. Now, there were several factors that led us to look at Yogabyte. I think one is that it's Postgres compatible, right? It's not Postgres, but it's Postgres compatible. I think as a distributed database, Yogabyte has gained quite a lead in popularity. I believe Yogabyte is now in the Gartner Magic Quadrant as well, right? And also since its first release to having a position there for cloud databases. Now, we were looking for a distributed relational database, right? Which was an innovative way to address some of the problem statements that we have in terms of spatial kind of requirements. And it compares well with other distributed databases of its peers, right? Like TitaniumDB, for example. Okay, I think since our conversation 3 to 4 years ago, the market has caught up very quickly in terms of a distributed database. But Yogabyte has also responded quite well to the market trends as well.
Yeah, I remember the early days swimming where we've had a lot of interactions with your team to really talk about exactly to your point around being able to provide Postgres compatible API. As you rightly pointed out, your team has widely adopted Postgres. So we've worked with your team to, we are not Postgres, but we are a Postgres compatible database that brings in all that simplicity or ease of use when it comes to adopting the technology. And similarly, to your point around uh, the uh, the way how a distributed database works, I think that is important for the differentiation is something that is important for the teams to understand. There has been a lot of work that went in over the last 3, 4 years, like you rightly pointed out. Maybe on that note, Wiming, given that our partnership has been going on for a couple of years now. Maybe could you please share some specific examples as to how Yugabyte is deployed and used by your business?
I think one of the things that many banks or even financial services actually look out for is and has been chasing in terms of a holy grail is personalization. Personalization in its terminology is a little bit of an oxymoron. um, if when we're talking about personalization, what we're really hoping to achieve is that we are aware of the customer so much so that the customer is not even aware what they would do in terms of a next step. We want to be able to be in that space. And in order to do that, um, I would say that proactive kind of personalization and go from reactive personalization, we needed that type of ability to have a millisecond response time, especially for our banking apps itself, and for even for very mundane use cases like credit card fraud blocking, for example. That consolidation of the profile requires that we need to pull from different sources the millisecond response time. How we actually deployed Yogabyte was to look at how it would be able to support that real-time data personalization kind of initiatives, both to protect our customer, but also to service our customer itself, per se. And even from the perspective that, how do we deploy it in terms of any data services itself?
Understood. Understood. So uh, the point that you were highlighting more on the use cases is more of something on the personalization is where Yugabyte is being used by the business, and that helps more in terms of providing better customer experiences.
Yep, that's right.
Awesome.
And it's
More
it's it's not even just to provide better customer experiences, right, Vish? Not to cut you off, but it's also to build that relationship with the customer to say that, hey, we are here to be able to finance your lifestyle. We are here to be able to solve a problem for you.
understood. Completely
Yep,
makes sense. Yep.
yep.
Completely makes sense. So maybe on that note, again, the journey has been a couple of years now, and again, thanks for coming and doing this with us. Maybe a question around that would be throughout this adoption process, right? What are some of the technical aspects of Yugabyte that your team deemed to be very, very important or most important?
So I think the benefit of Yogabyte is that it's Postgres compatible. And the fact that it possesses both Postgres and Cassandra APIs, this actually makes it easy for developers to grasp the database initially. There is a darker side to this, which I won't mention, but I guess the thing that I would like to highlight is that, um, there needs to be a continual education cycle, a continual adoption cycle for any new piece of technology. Now, because it's a distributed database, our people also had to learn that database replication is very different from a standalone single node database to a distributed database. So that continual education is important because we now realize that we have to constantly encourage the teams to talk to yoga bite experts. How do we leverage the resources being made to them? How do they get the best out of the product itself? And not only that, in order to fully make use of a distributed database where we can distribute the load equally across the nodes, um, and without having to buy or purchase additional features or packs to enable that high availability or scalability itself, that knowledge has to be built intrinsically into the people who are going to develop onto the database itself. And I think, Vish, we did talk about setting up a little bit of a Yoga Byte University within the bank itself, right? And how do we gamify it and how do we enable that whole experience? Um, so this is something that I feel that there are technical aspects of Yoga Byte that we like, that are important to us. However, the education portion is also equally important and it goes hand in hand.
Yeah, that completely makes sense, Weming. I think the transition from a traditional relational database technology to more of a distributed database where what they used to do this as a mundane task is no longer needed to be done in a new world. And how do we enable people to kind of transition over to that becomes really critical. And definitely, I agree with you that Yugabyte has put together this Yugabyte University, which is to really simplify. If you're a developer, how do you get yourself up to speed? What are the things that you could uh, automate or which you could leave to the technology rather than you manually kind of doing it. Same a developer track or an operational track or an architecture track. These are the things that we have put together in the university. And yes, I agree that this is something that needs to be that constant education is needed for that transition to be successful. I 100% agree. Uh, More on that note, again, going back in time, we started off a couple of years ago, not trying to, I know this is a much bigger forum and this is our marquee event. Maybe a question for you would be, what was your experience? You did touch earlier on that, you collaborated nicely and we've delivered a lot of capabilities. Maybe if you were to talk a little bit more around your experience collaborating with our team, not just about during the early parts of the POC, but rather the implementation. And now some of these systems are already in production. What was the experience like? Maybe if you could elaborate that a bit, that will be really helpful.
I think one of the things that I really felt that was very good on the Yoga Byte team was and basically it's a team yourself, Vish, Patricia, Ayapan, and Srini, right? Is that there was very early on commitment to say that we are here to make this successful. I think that was something that gave us a little bit of comfort in the sense that it's not just a wham bam thank you ma'am kind of thing, right? And from that perspective, it almost diligently on a weekly basis, right? We talked about the project delivery, uh, how do we discuss scaling, adoption, some of the priorities that the bank has, some of the roadmap. In fact, we have also requested for a few features that we are hoping that once they come in, we can look at how do we expand the adoption for Yoga Byte further as well. I think we've also collaborated on a few things, right? And one of the things was to look at a resilient design for Yoga Byte deployment. And also, how do we talk about what are some of the best database practices, etc., and all that. We've also conducted a number of immersion classes, talks, workshops together, which I think the feedback within the bank and different groups, the developers that have attended is good. But I would feel that if you are a new customer, bank on that first, because um, the issue is that if your guys don't get the idea how to best use a distributed database, it's very hard to unwind some of the impressions. Uh, I think also what I also enjoyed, and recently it's a little bit of a guilty pleasure at the moment. some of the posts that Frank Pachon actually posts on the comparison between Oracle and Yogabyte and what is actually a distributed database, what is Yogabyte's um, ethos or vision when implementing a distributed database versus how Oracle does it versus how other databases do it. I think it's very insightful and it's very enjoyable to read. He's very readable for some reason. I think it's really a very guilty pleasure. The first time I read a post from him, I had to read it like a couple of times before I actually got it. But as you get used to his style of writing, it's very readable. I also like to thank you that at some point I think you guys also had brought Frank to the bank, and he conducted some sessions with us in terms of the developer advocate session as well. I think those are some of the things that we appreciate from a partner who is committed to making it a success. Of course, it's not all a bed of roses, right? There's always areas that we can improve on together, right? And those are
Yeah.
some of the things like the features we've asked to Yogabyte to consider to develop.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Wei Ming. I think definitely Frank will be super happy to hear this. In fact, he's got a talk coming up later. So for those who are watching this, please do watch the Frank session, which is going to come in the next couple of hours. And it takes two hands to shake women. I think I also would like to take the opportunity to thank Peter, yourself, and Fred, and the broader team, broader OCBC team. There has been a lot of uh, uh, times where you guys, you were forthcoming, wanted to hear exactly when certain capabilities, features, and comparisons were asked, and when we came out to explain how things work differently in Yugabyte, I think you were able to really understand the gist of what it means and how this can be messaged internally within OCBC. I think it goes both ways. Thanks a lot to all of you for providing all that extended support and being very, very collaborative. More on that, right? Wei Ming, I know we are almost coming towards the tail end of the session. Maybe from your perspective, right? What are some of the emerging trends in the financial services industry? Do you foresee, especially that's going to have an impact on data management?
I think, to be honest, there are many, many exciting things happening in the data space. The bank, um, as you know, has been one of the first to adopt Gen AI within the bank itself. We've quite spoken about it quite openly in several forums. Um, we have actually garnered some awards for that in terms of GovTech space as well. You may also realize that we've won some awards for our data platform as well, per se. Hopefully, there are certain things that we're doing, and I won't share what it is, but you may have noticed that the bank has kind of shifted its purpose, its value, its ambition, what in terms of what we are looking to achieve. And our purpose is generally to enable people and their communities to realize their aspirations. How do we fix their problem? How do we finance their lifestyle? The values in the bank remain as how do we create any lasting value? How do we be forward looking? And what's our responsibility to our customers and to our employees? Our ambition is to be the leading financial services partner for a sustainable future. I think those are some of the things that will drive the bank forward in terms of um, some of the emerge by looking at what are some of the emerging trends in the financial services industry. I think one of the things that the bank is also very focused on, and it may not be an emerging trend, it is definitely something that the bank wants to do, right? Given the fact that it's a bit of a hot topic, is to build that resilience and scalability within our banking services itself. And I talked about earlier in terms of how do we build a resilient design pattern for Yogabyte, for example. I think Yogabyte, leveraging on your strength as a distributed database is something that we want to tap on, right? We want to be able to embed innovation to engineer some of the customer anxiety out of banking. And having that ability to build that resilience and scalability within our banking services is very important to us. I think there are also several innovative ideas in terms of product of how a data lake house is going to evolve. I think this is one of the items that probably will be a little bit more transformative for us to deliver our regional business and data strategy. That will be the last thing I want to leave the audience with as a last thought.
So, Wei Ming, first of all, thank you so much for providing a quick overview of what your landscape is and what your journey has been with Yugabyte and the support that you've garnered with Yugabyte. And lastly, the thing around what you foresee. I think very insightful session. Thank you for doing this. And folks, there are many more exciting sessions upcoming. So please stay tuned and continue to listen in or dial into the next sessions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vish, for the opportunity to attend the session, to speak on the session, and also extend a large thank you to the rest of the team, Patricia, Ayapan, and Srini for their continued support on the OCBC account.
Thank you. Thank you, Wei Ming.
Thank you.